Welcome to the season finale. After a relentless journey around the world, we have reached the concluding chapter of 2023. This is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where the story remains incomplete for this season in so many areas. Fourth in the Drivers' Championship, 8 places undecided in the Constructors. It's time for the final chapter. It has been a memorable one. It has been a dominant one for Max Verstappen and for Red Bull. And we started in Bahrain. We conclude in Abu Dhabi, 5.2 kilometers, 3.2 miles, and 58 laps ahead of us. 16 turns in this remodeled circuit, changed in 2021, and providing a lot of action and overtaking opportunities. Let's send it to turn number 5, which is the first of those overtaking opportunities. And this, well, I don't really need to tell you what happened here. One of the more famous moments in the entire history of the sport, as Max Verstappen got through on the last lap to win his maiden title. Gasly versus Ocon, not teammates then, but they were fighting their way by in 2020 into turn 6. Tidy pass for Pierre Gasly in the last ever race for AlphaTauri today. And this was Vettel versus Ocon, and if you've got the grip and you can keep your foot in, you can try going the long way around, but you're going to get shuffled out. Ocon staying ahead of the man who retired 1 year ago. These are the tyres, the softest in the Pirelli range, the C5, the C4 and the C3, the soft, the medium and the hard. And it will be interesting to see how long you can make that medium tyre last when you go for the softs at the end. Well, these are the pictures of a billion-dollar racetrack, and let's take you through from the back to the front of the last Grand Prix of the year. Logan Sargent, 2 times deleted for track limits. He's next to Zhou Guanyu. They're on the back row of the grid. Then it's Valtteri Bottas, a former winner around here, going from 18th. Kevin Magnussen in the updated Haas, which is not working. Then Carlos Sainz, who was the big shock of Q1, on the back foot since his crash in practice earlier on. He's next to Daniel Ricciardo, out-qualified by his teammate. Alex Albon sweeps the season. The lead Williams on the grid all the way through. He's next to Lance Stroll. Then it's Ocon and Hamilton, who was the big shock of Q2, unhappy with the 1-lap pace of that Mercedes this year. Pierre Gasly in 10th position next to Sergio Perez, who has struggled in the summer break for 1-lap form, unlike Nico Hülkenberg, who has been a star when it's come to 1 lap. If you go further though, different story. Fernando Alonso is next to him. Yuki Tsunoda's best ever start on a Formula 1 grid. He's next to Lando Norris, who felt pole was within his grasp. Best start in Yas Marina for George Russell. 3 top 3s in his rookie season for Oscar Piastri. 5 consecutive trips to the front row for Charles Leclerc. But guess who at the front of the field? Max Verstappen with a 4th consecutive pole in a row. 12 for the season, 32 all time, and he remains the man to beat in Formula 1. In the commentary box, I'm Alex Jakes, and we've got the all-star lineup ready for you for this season closer. David Coulthard is standing next to Jolyon Palmer. David, what are you expecting for this one?
Well, I'm just really curious to see what this battle for the Constructors' Championship is going to deliver. Is it going to be Mercedes with the slight advantage, but one of the drivers in Lewis out of position? Or is it going to be Ferrari coming from behind, and also with one of the drivers out of position in Carlos Sainz? So I'm expecting them to be movers from his lowly starting position, and we'll see just how far Carlos can get through. Other than that, I'm expecting Max Verstappen's dominance.
Any other answers, Jolyon Palmer?
There's no sugarcoating that one. He should run away and hide today, but you never know. On the last race of the season, things can happen. I think I agree with DC. The Ferrari-Mercedes battle is fascinating today. 2 of them starting at the front, Leclerc and Russell 2nd and 4th. 2 of them charging their way through, Hamilton and Sainz 11th and 16th for Sainz. There's 2 fascinating dynamics that are going to take place here.
It is approaching 5 o'clock local time. We're approaching the formation lap.
Yeah, and lots of shiny new tyres sitting there on the grid, and we often can see that outside the top 10, but we don't normally see it going so far into the front few rows. That will give them a nice grippy start off the line.
And they leave the line for the final formation lap of the year. Max Verstappen at the front of this field for the 12th time this season, and the medium tyre is looking a popular one. The top 12 there, and then you can see Stroll is on the hard, Sainz is on the hard, Bottas is on the hard, everyone else electing to go for that medium. It is going to be close though between a 1-stop and a 2-stop.
Yeah, strategy in the immediate goes out of the window. If the degradation comes up, that's when the 2-stop will become a thing. But everyone of the major players here is on the medium. The one to watch out for is going to be Sainz then in that battle, starting on the hard tyre from 16th. He's going to go longer and try and have a bit of a fight later on.
Yeah, I'm interested to see whether he can buck the trend of the year and not have a Ferrari with relatively high rear deck. If he can, maybe one stop's possible.
They have improved that in recent races, but this will be a real test. Charles Leclerc was plain confused that he got himself to the front row, which shows you the understanding they still lack with that car, even at the very end of the campaign.
And Leclerc's starts have been really poor recently. That's something else to note here. There he goes in second place. Verstappen has been brilliant off the line. Since it used to be a weakness for Red Bull when they had weaknesses. Now they don't. Everything is perfect, and that includes the starts. Leclerc, though, 3 poles from the last 5 races. In all of them, he didn't lead out of the first corner.
Thanks, round for the last 3 years, and all of your efforts. Advices to me, let's do this.
A nice little message for Franz Tost, who is coming to the end of his, well, moderately successful, I guess, team principaling career. 1 victory in fantastic style in Monza. 2 victories, excuse me. That's why I've got big-brained Alex beside me. Remind me of the second one.
He had Sebastian Vettel, didn't he? And he had Pierre Gasly, both of them coming at Monza. 18 years in the team principal chair for Franz Tost. And Yuki Tsunoda running a tribute crash helmet as well. But away from the sentimentality, the Drivers' Championship is very close for 4th place. You've got Fernando Alonso looking for his best finish in a decade. You've got Sainz trying to be the lead Ferrari driver. And you've got Lando Norris trying to put a McLaren driver in the top 4 of the standings for the first time since 2012. There are celebs everywhere. Not as many as Vegas, but still an absolute smattering as the cars come to the line.
Last moments for the drivers to do their predetermined amount of burnouts and get the car prepped. Front row, of course, end up sitting there a little bit longer, so they start to see drop-off in tyre performance. But that's all factored into the preparation.
So Stroll is going to be under pressure from Albon and Ricciardo behind on the medium tyres. Sainz is going to go long in that first stint on the Ferrari. Look out for Sainz, he's out of position. Look out for Hamilton, he's out of position. And what about the pressure on the shoulders of Yuki Tsunoda in his 3rd season of Formula 1? 6th place is his best ever starting position. At the front row, Charles Leclerc trying to heap the pressure on Max Verstappen, who is looking to extend the all-time season win record to 19. Unbelievable record that he has. We have 20 cars lining up on the grid. Green flag at the back. The final race of the year is 5 lights away. And the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is go! Max Verstappen's having to do something about Charles Leclerc, and that is brave from Verstappen because he knew he was on the back foot, and he's found something in the second phase of the start to stay ahead of the Ferrari. George Russell was close there with Oscar Piastri. Oh, that was very, very tight there, as you see. Piastri hanging on there. He's all over the back of Lando Norris, I should say. So Lando Norris on the charge. Verstappen, then Leclerc, then Piastri. Upper place goes Norris. That's getting tight on the apex of turn number 5. Can Charles Leclerc do anything now? He's right in the wheel tracks. No DRS at this stage, but he's forcing a defensive shape. As in the background, Hamilton and Perez go very close. But this is for the lead of the Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc's going to take it. Side by side they go once again, only momentarily. Once again, Verstappen's bravery on the brakes keeps him the lead.
He just will never let it go, and that's what defines him as such a fighting, feisty world champion. But here comes Charles Leclerc once again. He'll have to go around the outside.
Well, it'd be something if you went around the outside of there, and Verstappen knew it, hugging the inside line. But Jolie, we weren't expecting this sort of pressure.
How did Leclerc not take the lead? Twice he was up the inside cleanly there, and Verstappen charged around the outside. Charles, I think, was maybe a little bit too kind to him in both of those cases. I thought Max might fly off the road at turn 1, but he had the space and had the margin to do that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You'd think that normally he would have completed that, but Max has form. He just never gives up.
Well, he has staved off the pressure. Charles Leclerc looked good into 1, looked certain into 6, but he only had the lead for a smidge, and then Verstappen is going to go to work, warm those tyres, get them into the window, further back. Russell lost a place, he's down to 5th. Tsunoda and Alonso are as they were. Gasly's up 2 places, Hamilton's up 2 places, and Perez is down 1.
Yeah, just looking at how close and tightly packed the field is, that's already telling me they're playing a longer game here. No one's gone crazy on that first lap, eating up their tyres. Look how close they all are, and if you stay like this, we're going to find ourselves in some serious DRS trains.
Yeah, both Hamilton and Sainz made a couple of places as well. So Hamilton ahead of Perez, crucially, up into 9th. They were side by side for all of the lap. Here goes Norris.
Norris with the waft to the inside. How early does Lando Norris say, look, you know what the case is in race pace in recent weeks. I was out-qualified for the first time by a teammate around this circuit yesterday, but he has been the stronger contender. Piastri's got to get past, or I think he's going to be under real pressure from Lando Norris, and Piastri has got the hurry.
Yeah, Leclerc's dropped away now, more than a second behind Verstappen, having been side by side, this time a lap ago, and Piastri's right with him. So this is immediate early pressure from both McLarens. Piastri knows that he needs to clear Leclerc, because as you say, Norris is going to be on the radio if he doesn't, trying to give him the hurry up, but he looks like he's got huge pace.
Yeah, well, as I've just discovered, Lando is going to be wafting at the back of Piastri. That's a new word for me, Alex. I love it.
You say one thing one time, but it goes into the brain of David Coulthard. We're over the line again for 3 of 58 laps, and Charles Leclerc, falling into the clutches of Piastri, will want that move early. One thing that's going to help him, DRS enabled on that lap. How did Charles Leclerc not take the lead? Also, we're going to have to look at the start replays, because Hülkenberg lost 6 places, Albon's down 4, and Tsunoda's still in 6th. So alarm bells ringing at Williams.
Yeah, if it stays like that, that is going to be enough for Tsunoda and AlphaTauri to jump Williams. That's a subplot in this one, the battle for 7th in the Constructors. I can't believe that Leclerc didn't make the move, but he's back within a second look of Max Verstappen. Here they come, the top guys down towards 6, and he's going to be picking up DRS here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You actually, if you just look visually at the distance, it looked like he was, as Perez has a hunt at Hamilton.
Perez diving to the inside, Perez getting through, and that is 9th position.
I wonder if Max made a mistake at turn 5, because Charles didn't have the DRS on that first straight. He does now. So that must have been after the detection. He suddenly closed the gap.
So it gives an opportunity to Leclerc, but Leclerc's got to stay with the Red Bull all the way back to that corner as we go back to the start of the race, and the 5 red lights go out.
You've got to say that Charles Leclerc's initial getaway was definitely better than Max Verstappen, but Max, knowing that turn 1 is a very open, late apex corner, he just went, right, I can play with the exit curve if I need to.
And DC, contrast that with when they were side by side exactly like that in Vegas last week. There was not quite the same level of manners offered from the man on the inside, was there? He got a 5-second penalty for it, but that was Verstappen. He's always aggressive, he's always not giving in and either diving on the inside or just holding it on the outside. But this was the second chance then for Leclerc, and I thought this one was maybe even possibly a bigger chance on a big braking zone once he's done that and get down the inside.
Yeah, I thought the place was done. He was a smidge ahead for about a 1/10 of a second, and then round the outside, keeping the place, keeping the position when Max Verstappen. Okay, we've got Perez with a big opportunity now. The McLarens are battling on track. I can see on the driver tracker at the moment, could be a change of position there. It will be a change of position. I can tell you that Lando Norris has got past Oscar Piastri. We're seeing the start, though, for Sergio Perez.
Lewis went out in turn 1.
Copy. That was it.
Telling teacher very early.
Yeah, it's now been swapped anyway because Checo's passed him on track, so that'll be nothing. But yeah, Hamilton went wide. They were so close heading through the high speed. That's always pretty hairy.
On board with Lando Norris. He gained a place in this start.
Yep, nice getaway relative to George Russell on his left there. But where does the pass come? Well, like Max Verstappen, he runs it out wide around turn 1 and then finds himself in the right position for 3.
Verstappen now more than a second clear at the front. I still can't quite believe that Leclerc didn't just brake later and get his elbows out for that one. Now Max is clear and he's establishing at the top.
Julian's going to need counselling after this as to what happened to Leclerc on that first lap.
That is a replay of what we could see. That is a replay of Lando Norris moving up to 3rd position, and he was clearing Oscar Piastri. That was always going to be a matter of time. Might seem harsh, but McLaren are just looking to try and maximise the result here. George Russell now chasing down Oscar Piastri, who did really well to help qualify Lando Norris around this circuit. If you consider Norris's teammates, Daniel Ricciardo, he's also had Carlos Sainz as well, and he'd never been out-qualified here in Formula 1.
Norris now looking at the back of Leclerc. The gap less than 8/10, and those McLarens are still looking really quick. Russell going with Piastri, but just ahead, there is Lando closing in on Charles Leclerc's Ferrari, and Leclerc, crucially, more than a second away from Verstappen now, so he hasn't got DRS to defend.
So they will have noted as well that Leclerc was less impressive on the brakes than Max Verstappen at the start of the race. And Norris will be trying to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think Charles used up his braking bravery of the year in Las Vegas. He came from so far back when he overtook Perez there. He was almost in a different city, but a little bit more tentative tonight.
So Norris, the entire Grand Prix hinges on whether he can clear Charles Leclerc quickly if we have a battle for the lead. We've got lots of fascinating subplots. We've got a massive DRS train. Look at this, all the way down, everyone within a second at the moment until you get down to Carlos Sainz after Oscar Piastri.
The Sainz has picked off Hülkenberg as well in that in the last couple of laps. He was 14th at the end of lap 1, so on the hard tyres he's making them work straight away, and he'll still be aiming to go longer, but he's edging closer to the points and towards Hamilton, crucially, who's in 10th.
Our very own Lawrence Barretto, earlier in the day, a couple of hours ago, was on a flatbed truck talking to the drivers around here, and the one thing that we heard time and time again, every single answer was, teams don't really know what they've got underneath them. Max Verstappen trying to pull away, but practice was seriously interrupted. 10 of the drivers sat out FP1. We had a very interrupted FP2, and they ran FP3 at a totally different time of day. So the teams will be learning as they go, as Kevin Magnussen comes into the pits. Slow stop, and he's put on the hard tyres for what looks like a very long afternoon.
Yeah. Is this a puncture or something, or has he had contact? Because that is very early to make that stop.
Maybe just a huge flat spot, is it, from the lock up there, and he's had vibrations and cut his losses straight away. Turn 12, that right hand is easy to do that as you're braking and turning. That is going to be a long, miserable afternoon.
Jolyon, you've driven this circuit. It was a slightly different version, but overtaking has always been slightly tricky here compared to other venues that we go to.
It has. It was designed with slow, fiddly corners onto long straights, which was the thinking of the day when it was built in 2009. But the thinking has changed. We've now got faster corners onto the straights, and I think that helps the racing. So turn 5 used to be 3 corners, effectively, left, right, and then a really tight left-hand hairpin that would spread the cars out as you jump onto the throttle. The same thing down at turn 9 used to be another fiddly chicane. It's way more enjoyable to drive now. The drivers all love it. It's higher speed, it's more flowing, and I think the racing is a little bit better. The 2 DRS zones are crucial. The first one leads onto that Leclerc-Verstappen big braking zone at turn 6. The second one, as you saw with the Leclerc-Verstappen fight, if you cover the inside, it's so tricky to go around the outside. We saw that as well in 2021 when Hamilton, they were side by side for the championship. Once you're on the outside there, it's tricky. But the crucial one is the one that's coming up here.
But again, looking at how tightly bunched the field is after 7 laps, this is very much a management situations. George Russell picking up the slipstream from Piastri, but not close enough or brave enough to go for it down into turn 6.
Sometimes it can be tactical into that corner. Sometimes you might wait for the second opportunity, because if you get past, the driver gets a chance for a right of reply. Russell has waited, has the momentum. Does he have the place? Got to go to the outside line. Can he get the move complete? Russell has got the position at the moment. Mid-corner, though, different story on the exit. It still belongs to Piastri, and there is a perfect illustration of how hard it is to go around the outside.
Outside chance of making it work at this corner as well, but Russell choosing better of it. That's so easy to have a lock-up, as we've already seen with Magnussen. Is Ricciardo.
Possible tear off in one of the front ducts. We are checking. We may have to take some actions. I'll keep you posted.
Okay, understood. Keep me posted.
Yeah, well, tear off, that's a driver visor tear off that may have gone in one of the front brake ducts, so they'll be seeing a spike in temperature as he makes his way to the pit lane.
Disaster for AlphaTauri. Ricciardo 15th. You've got to remove it. The brake temps will go through the roof. It's a hard track on braking anyway, so they've had to pit Ricciardo, and in that battle, that's a big sway towards Williams. Tsunoda's still out there doing a great job, but Ricciardo out of action with K-Mag right now at the back.
So Ricciardo having to take that action of coming to the pit lane, having to get rid of it, and they said, well, take actions. Well, those are compromising actions. Tsunoda is carrying the hopes of that team right now. He's having a great stint. A reminder that car 22, there he is, just going through your picture. His best ever result in a Grand Prix came here back in 2021, 4th place.
Yeah, he's got Alonso, the most experienced guy out there, hunting him down. That must be quite a sobering vision in his mutters when he's like, oh no, why can't it be Lance?
You can tell it's the last race of the season. As Fernando Alonso, half a second away there. That is one lock-up, that is one error. The incident involving Zhou Guanyu and Alex Albon forcing another driver off the track has been noted. The incident involving Sargent and Magnussen Same thing, that also has been noted, only noted by race control.
Alonso is a tough man to shake off, and he's so smart as well. If he realises early on that the deg will be high, he'll back off and let you think you're safe for a while, and then suddenly when you get to the pit stop phase, he'll bring it right back and apply the pressure.
He's an animal, isn't he? He's intimidating. Not in physical size, but yeah, he was real. His footsteps behind me in the corridor of the hotel the other day. I looked round, it was him, and I naturally forced myself against the wall and allowed him to pass through.
You didn't go defensive?
No, no. He's still active. He would have, easily had me for breakfast.
All right, the DRS train is beginning to break in certain parts of the carriage now. George Russell's going to have another go in the Mercedes, chasing the papaya McLaren. Piastri trying to keep things going. Live speeds for you at the bottom of your picture. It's lap 9 of 58, and Russell getting closer in the braking zone. Here's Sergio Perez getting closer too when it comes down to it, and by the time he got the brakes on, he couldn't have been certain that he was going to keep the front wing attached. Either way, though, trying to take 8th position. Russell's very close ahead, though. Surely he's going to be going wheel to wheel. He is going wheel to wheel. Russell tries the outside line again. Again, he goes wide. You can see the grip scrubbing off, and Piastri, 2 laps in a row, defends 4th place.
This has bullied the two of them further away from the top 3 now. Piastri 2 seconds back from Lando Norris. Huge attack from Russell. He has got confidence on the brakes, confidence on the turn-in for turn 9 in that Mercedes, but you're doing a long way round there.
And how many laps can you do at that corner where you're scrubbing across the road like that without sending temps through the roof?
Well, it definitely will, because you're out off the racing line, you're on what will be a slightly more dusty part of the racetrack, and inevitably you just slide the car more. So he's quicker right now. The degradation on the Mercedes has been better than the McLaren, I'd say, across the entire season, so he's trying to exploit that.
Yeah, he's really got the pace at that stage. Right within half a second of Piastri again, so he's going to have another chance, and they're dropping away from Norris. He's doing the perfect job for Ferrari at the moment, is Oscar Piastri, blocking Russell from taking a place. And look at the front, by the way, Verstappen's not charging away. The gap's actually just nibbling down.
So that was the point when we were talking about it earlier on, about the teams don't really know what they've got underneath. You don't know what to manage, but I can tell you that if Max Verstappen had the pace to disappear on that medium tyre, the gap would not be 1.2 seconds.
And in Vegas last time out, they were on a medium tyre. It was a different medium tyre, softer compounds, different range, but Red Bull really struggled with graining on that tyre. It was a similar situation. Had a 5-second penalty, as we see Russell again.
Take 3, not close this time. Piastri's getting a good run there, and Russell will have the opportunity to try a different line that way. But Russell looks really fighty. He's been good all the way through the weekend. He's massively underscored this season compared to Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's getting close to passing his points total from last year. Russell's miles back on what he achieved in 2022, but he's looked balanced all the way through the weekend.
So, Julian, put us in the cockpit. What can he now do differently? It isn't working trying the double DRS down into 9. Can he deploy in a different way to be more aggressive into 6?
I guess the big question is, can he be close enough there? The first time it looked like he almost could have sent a big lunge, but backed off and waited for the second moment. Now he'll know that he's got to be an awfully long way ahead into turn 9 to complete the pass there. Can he even do something special on the exit of 9? Because there is a nice straight there, and Piastri's defending so hard as well. He's doing a brilliant job covering the inside, but that could leave him vulnerable potentially out of turn 9. This looks like Russell's best chance yet, though, I reckon.
This is good, Oscar. Defending well. Tyre management looks good.
Very, very close, beyond 200 miles per hour, and having to defend into 6. Sergio Perez is going to make the place. Oscar Piastri's off the racing line. Perez looks like he's going to improve up to 8th position. Battles everywhere at the moment, certainly heading to turn number 9. The Mercedes closer than it's been at any stage. Still, Gasly is ahead behind. But what about the battle for 4th? Finally, the move is complete for George Russell, who got it done before the braking zone of turn number 9.
He just got the compliment from his engineer and then made the mistake with the lockup.
The crucial part for Russell was just forcing him offline at turn 6. As soon as you do that, you're looking in your mirrors, you're compromising your exit. On top of it, there's a big lockup, and then there's nothing he could do to defend here. But Russell there just forcing Piastri to defend, compromising his speed on this straight.
And the pass made, 4th position. Got to get that done before you are off the racing line and you're wider and wider and wider still. And Piastri passed by Norris, then by Russell. And it is 1.5 seconds for the lead of the final Grand Prix of the year.
And hang about, he's already a second plus from Russell ahead. Here's Tsunoda.
Right front is slowly getting a bit hard.
Okay, understood.
So Verstappen had a very similar message in Vegas a week ago. It's already a week ago. A lot feels like it's happened in that time, in the 7 days in between. But I tell you what, he, at that point on the radio, was saying, yeah, the tyres aren't in great shape. They don't appear to be in the window that they want. Ferrari, no way they expected to only be 1.3 seconds away on lap 12 and 58. Not the case. We go back to the never-ending story of Sergio Perez trying to look. Now, has he managed to do what George Russell did to Oscar Piastri a moment ago? Force the Alpine ahead off the racing line. And he's going to have good momentum for the pass now. He's got DRS. Can he get it done before the braking zone? The answer is yes, and that's 8th place.
Gasly just slipped away from DRS range of Alonso, and as soon as that happens, then you're very vulnerable there. You've got to have a DRS train if you're keeping a Red Bull behind you in that midfield.
Yeah, and he's going to fall into the clutches of Hamilton, who's having a fairly steady race at this stage, probably thinking long game on the tyres.
You've also got Stroll and Sainz in 12th and 13th. They're the highest runners on the hardest compounded tyre. Daniel Ricciardo had a tear-off in the brake duct. That compromised his strategy. And Magnussen looked like he damaged the tyres and was forced to change to the hards. Alonso has come into the pits to pull the trigger on the first round of stops.
That's early. That releases Perez up another place, which will be good news for him. He can go and chase this Piastri battle. Piastri now shouldn't have DRS to defend from Tsunoda behind, so that will be another close one for him up to 6th.
Unusual amount of brake dust coming out of the Aston wheels there as they gunned off the old and put on the new.
It's been an outstanding year for Fernando Alonso, and he has been on the podium 7 occasions, back on form, now the 4th most podium finishes of anyone in the history of Formula One, in the longest ever Formula One career as well. Now, can Tsunoda shape for the pass and try and get up to 5th position? There are battles brewing. This one certainly is. Lewis Hamilton finds himself ahead of Ocon, but behind Pierre Gasly in an Alpine sandwich at the moment. And Hamilton really frustrated yesterday with another performance that went awry. His worst back-to-back run in qualifying since 2014, with 2 Q2 exits in about a week. It is well poised at the front. We've got battles in the midfield, and we've got recovery drives in process for the likes of Sainz. Hamilton's trying to do the same as well.
Tsunoda here putting big pressure on Piastri. I reckon there's a few people in the Williams garage getting twitchy at this performance from AlphaTauri, who look like they could score some big points. In comes Piastri then. He's had a tough first stint. This is looking like a 2-stopper for these guys.
Yeah, they tried. They've clearly just seen too much deg, and they feel the need to get onto what I assume will be the hard tyre. Also Haas coming in.
So Joe is in the pits as well, and we've got Hulkenberg along with Piastri, who gets a 2.7 second stop. Piastri, who last time out in Vegas had 1.9 second stop. McLaren have had both pit stops this year that have been under the 2-second mark. And now where does he come out in relation to Fernando Alonso? The odds is very, very close. Remember, the tyres won't be optimised, and Alonso knows it.
How's he going to be then? This is going to be...
He's going for it.
This is going to be the chance for Fernando. Tyres up to temperature. Piastri is going to be without the DRS, and here comes Fernando.
Yeah, that's the power of fresh tyres, and that attempted undercut. He definitely gained some track position.
We've seen Alonso's racecraft this year, absolutely exemplary. He's got Piastri off the racing line again. Those tyres not up to the optimum temperature until you get further around the lap. Lando Norris has been called in, but now it's pressure on the young rookie Australian driver. When we get to turn number 9, is Alonso able to place the car in a position where he can cut back? You want to cut back tight to the racing line, and it's well defended once again, but there's been a lot of defence for Oscar Piastri so far in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, decent top speed there to defend against Alonso. I thought with the DRS that should have been an easier chance to pass there for Fernando, but it wasn't to be. In comes Norris, trying to cover them off now.
So Norris responding.
And Russell, he's headed in as well, and Russell's got the better stop.
And there you go for George Russell. So that's a big moment in the context of the Grand Prix. McLaren, who have the 2 best pit stops of the year, when it counted 5.1 seconds, and George Russell got 1 on track, gets 1 in the pit lane, and they're up against this gaggle. They come out of the pit exit. Russell's ahead. Norris keeps the place, and then you've got Oscar Piastri ahead of Fernando Alonso, and Alonso, who triggered that run of stops, doesn't get the benefit, but George Russell does.
That's your net third position then. George Russell taking advantage. That's the start of this race has gone very well for him. And Mercedes, here's the other one. Lewis Hamilton right on the back of Gasly.
Well, we joined it, and they were nearly glued together as they went through the exit of turn number 6. And Hamilton unlocks some of the pace that we've seen from his teammate. It's Verstappen, Leclerc, and then Tsunoda up to third position. Then you have Perez released as well. Then you get to this battle where it is Gasly and Hamilton. And what's the contact? Because is there a broken part of the front wing?
I've just damaged my front wing. He looks up ahead of me.
That left-hand end plate looks like it's hanging off slightly to the side. On the left hand, you can see it there, dangling. There's been contact. Was that on the, as we joined them, they looked like they were glued together. They literally were touching.
Yeah, look, he came from a long way back, but as the Alpine was locking up, I'm not really sure if that fully explains. Normally when you lock up, you don't slow down as much, and then Hamilton, I think, has obviously been confused by it and just ran into the back of him.
Yeah, that's all on Hamilton there. Gasly's on the racing line, and Hamilton's just misjudged that
Hamilton just pushed me, hit me.
He almost sounded hurt on the radio, as well as surprised. And you've got the exit now of Hamilton having made the stop ahead of Ocon, who came in at the same time. Remember, these two were in these positions before. Max Verstappen's got the gap up to about 2.1 seconds out front. That's 16 of 58. And Ferrari's going to keep pushing on. They were good on the medium tyre in Vegas, good on the medium tyre in Abu Dhabi. Hamilton stopped 3.2 seconds. Not the fastest that Mercedes have put together this year, but equally enough to keep them ahead of the Alpine. But what they're really hoping for is to jump the other one. George Russell on the front foot in the lead Mercedes in the race, up against his childhood friend. They've climbed the ladder to Formula One here. Alex Albon, I don't think he's going to fight that one too hard. He knows he's in a different race. And Russell going through on that hard tyre, up to 9th place, having got past both McLarens, race leader into the pits, past our commentary box, onto the marks, and Max Verstappen, it's another decent pit stop as he gets away. 2.9 is at the wrong end. Ocon's got a good chance, but you don't want the momentum there. You want it out of turn 5. You want it earlier on. You can't, there's just no space to make the pass at that point.
Yeah, definitely lost some front end. Front nose okay?
Yep, we're looking at it. We don't think there's too much damage.
Interesting, when you recall last week, we had Max Verstappen lost his end plate entirely, and they had a chance at the last stop to maybe do an offset on the front wing, but he said he was dealing with a bit of understeer. Hamilton's front wing, definitely the end plate's leaning, but difficult to imagine how much that would be costing him in performance.
Well, given what we've seen this year, might be helping him, given what we've seen for the Red Bull last time out. Max had no front wing end plate and was flying. Leclerc had the same in the Ferrari in Mexico, absolutely flying with no front wing end plate.
Left side of the car, both the front and rear, having problems with their nuts.
Let's have another look at it. McLaren have been superb at that, but that could be costly. George Russell's been on the podium on only one occasion so far this year. That's back in May in the Spanish Grand Prix, and he's looking to finish the season on a high.
Ferrari out in the pit lane, so will that be for Leclerc? Yes, indeed.
I think it will be. Let's see if Ocon can take advantage of the damage at the front of the Mercedes ahead. He's got good pace there. Okay, crucial moment for Ferrari. We joined the stop late, but it's 2.8 seconds, and that's okay. Perez is in as well, behind, and looks like Gasly's come into the pits also. So 1 lap longer for Charles Leclerc, who is going to filter back out. He's on pit exit at the moment as he rejoins, and it's signs ahead of the Ferrari, then in terms of track position, then Verstappen, and then Charles Leclerc just rejoining at the moment. Can he get out ahead of Bottas and Russell, who's not too far away?
Leclerc's covered off Russell, I think, which was the crucial move for Ferrari. As soon as Russell, he was a second quicker on the previous lap. As soon as that looked a threat, they've had to cover him off, and they've done that nicely then. Leclerc, there's Bottas in between the Ferrari and the Mercedes.
Nice moment for Franz Tost to see Tsunoda and the AlphaTauri briefly leading this Grand Prix. George Russell makes his way past the Alpha.
yeah, trying to efficiently make the passes here. Russell, looking at driver transform this weekend. He won his Formula 2 championship here back in 2018. He succeeded as champion, the man who's directly ahead of him on the racetrack, but Russell really on the front foot. And there was a little bit of simulation data that we saw earlier in the weekend that suggested that Mercedes looked good on race pace, but I'm not sure anyone expected this good. He's picking off cars ahead at a track where it is difficult to overtake.
He's got 3 laps older tyres than Leclerc. They've got a long way to go in this stint, and that will probably hamper him later on, but right now he's got the tyres up to 10, and he's right on in the mirrors of the Ferrari. This is not what Ferrari wanted to see, having had a cushy gap with those 2 McLarens in between the lead Ferrari and the lead Mercedes early on. And now nose to tail.
This is Gasly diving down the inside for what is 15th at the moment, getting past Hülkenberg. Both Haas drivers with just nothing underneath them, and that team is going to finish 10th in the Constructors' Championship. We've got Max Verstappen finding himself in 4th position at the moment. Look who's ahead, though. It's the Ferrari. And can Carlos Sainz help out Charles Leclerc's race prospects here? There you can see one Ferrari ahead, and Sainz yet to stop at the moment. Yuki Tsunoda leads is an unusual sentence, so there we go. Let's listen to it as he runs a terrifically long stint. Easy pass, that was for 4th position as well. Easy pass for Max Verstappen to get past Carlos Sainz. Also doing the same thing further back on the straight, Lando Norris has improved past Bottas.
I don't get how you can undercut me with the other car. The leading car, I seriously don't understand. You'll have to explain me, because...
So Esteban is 4.1 ahead, so we'll just focus on tire management. Still a long way to go, we can make this work.
It's a fascinating dynamic between the 2 Alpines. Gasly's been undercut by a few cars there, but the one that he's really upset about is his teammate coming through. That rivalry, I know your teammate's never your best mate, it's always your first rival, but that one, for drivers running 14th and 15th, is particularly now starting to be a little bit deep, and it's a little bit regular as well. We've had it in Japan earlier this year, in Mexico, Brazil as well. There's quite a few times where we're hearing teammate chatter from those two, and with 4 seconds between them, they're on different strategies at this stage, so that's why Alpine have done that. I'm sure they're, well, at least Gasly has a chance of a one-stopper or a longer 2 with a different strategy later on. That's why they've done it, but Gasly's just seen his teammate ahead and he's just furious.
Yeah, no, happy, but I think it's another example of race engineers. You know, they are part engineers in terms of setting up and translating the drivers' feelings into mechanical and aerodynamic changes, but they're also part psychologists. It's like, yeah, we know you're not happy, but let's focus on the long game, and it starts or ends with a checkered flag. Let's complain or not at that point.
Oscar Piastri filtering his way through, and in the background there you can see as well Sergio Perez has just made that pass. So this is strategies meeting in the middle, but you've got to do these passes efficiently if you're going to have an opportunity. Time for another one now by the looks of things, but the car ahead has DRS. Fernando Alonso in 10th position for a few meters more, because now it's 9th. Valtteri Bottas has stayed out there 20 laps now on those tyres, and he finds himself easy meat for Fernando down there into turn 9.
Tsunoda's doing a terrific job. He's the only driver that started on the mediums that's still running, so he's definitely aiming for a one-stop in that AlphaTauri. Was running in 6th, was pressuring Piastri for 5th. He's going to pit and emerge down towards the bottom end of the top 10 because he's being undercut by all these guys, but he won't make another pit stop. And it's coming towards AlphaTauri with the pace that he's managing to hang on to. 0.6 slower than Stroll on the last lap, 1.2 slower than Sainz. They're quicker on the hard tyres, but that's what Tsunoda will change on to.
Fastest lap of the Grand Prix belonging to Sergio Perez, driver who is currently in 11th, but won't be long until he too is the driver clearing Bottas ahead. Here's Charles Leclerc.
Sainz will let you by.
That's the efficient thing to do, and they're doing it. High speed, synchronized passing, and nicely done there. Easy move for Leclerc, and then can Leclerc do anything about Verstappen ahead? We'll see whether it goes a similar way to last time when on the hardest compound available in the weekend. Well, that does seem very, very handy when you attach it to a Red Bull. Verstappen's just got past Stroll there, getting himself through. Again, Verstappen holding the net race lead. It's Yuki Tsunoda ahead, multiple laps led, and It's only the 6th time, I hear from the statistician, that Franz Tost has seen one of his cars lead a Grand Prix since 2006 when he became team principal there. So a special moment in his last race, and Tsunoda's only other race led for AlphaTauri was Pierre Gasly in the 2020 Italian Grand Prix in their last race before they are renamed once again.
So on 2 of them, they went on to win when Franz is in his car lead.
Steady on.
Is he getting excited?
Fastest lap once again for Perez, who did clear Bottas. And here is Verstappen riding on board, looking at the man who's had an unbelievably dominant season, rewriting the books of dominance. 18 wins, 20 podiums, defeated by Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez only. And this is going to be another efficiency pass for George Russell. Russell able to fight by, nice and simple. Sainz going to try and make it difficult, but he's trying to look after those tyres and take them further into the Grand Prix. He was one of a gaggle who started on the hard.
Yeah, one of a gaggle that looked like their eye is on trying to one stop. And Tsunoda, Lance Stroll, Sainz, of course, and Bottas are the ones that are taking the longer-term view.
Lewis, you've been second quickest car last lap. You're quick.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, here's the chance for the repass move. Oh, that's wide there, and it's not going to work on the exit. This is Ricciardo battling Bottas. Bottas and Hamilton about to go side by side. Not through that corner there, would not be sensible. The 2 former teammates who brought Mercedes those constructors' titles, relentless run as well. Bottas a winner around here. Stroll comes into the pits. Yuki Tsunoda's time in the lead of the Grand Prix ends as he comes in as well. It's Verstappen, then Leclerc. Return to the top 3. George Russell jumping the McLarens. That was efficient stuff. Great stint from Yuki Tsunoda. Good stop as well. 2.5 seconds as he looks to try and finish the season strong. That's the aim for him after a career best qualifying yesterday, and he had a career best result of 4th here in the past. A reminder that AlphaTauri will bottom of the Constructors' Championship for a majority of the season until the Mexico City Grand Prix. Well, Yuki Tsunoda's giving them a fighting chance, but they've got a defined way on the strategy as Lando Norris gets through. Easy pass on Sainz, who has yet to make his stop.
You've got to have the longer-term vision, because right now you see Daniel Ricciardo, who stopped much earlier, and will more than likely have to second stop again, where Tsunoda's obviously running behind him. So if you were just looking at the here and now, you'd go, oh, how did I end up behind them? But of course, if you are able to get away with only doing 1 stop, that's a lot less time spent in the pit lane.
Further back, this story continues with Ricciardo and Bottas. Ricciardo, who had his best Grand Prix of the year in the Mexico City Grand Prix, where he was 7th, hasn't managed to find that form of any of the other races, but we do find ourselves as a battle continuing between these two, but out in the pit lane. It looks like Ferrari are standing by, ready to receive Carlos Sainz, and they are. In he comes. Told you. And he hits his marks. Looking out of the commentary box window to inform you of that one. And it promotes Ricciardo up to 8th, but Ricciardo stopped very, very early because of a tear-off in the brake duct. Then you've got Hamilton, then you've got Tsunoda, who will be on the charge.
I don't think that was a particularly brilliant first stint then from Sainz. After he made a few places early on, couldn't really make big inroads into Lance Stroll on the same tyres, doing the same strategy, and Ferrari left him out there to be passed by that string of cars there, which cost him lap time at the end of the stint as well. So stint 1 has not gone ideal for Sainz. He's come out actually where he qualified, down to 16th.
Esteban Ocon, a driver now the lead Alpine in the race, another one getting past Bottas. That is into the braking zone. That is a clean pass. Ocon's highlight of this season coming in the Monaco Grand Prix, where he had an exceptional qualifying and then found himself able to endure the stormy conditions, convert it into a podium place. And if you consider that Alpine have been up and down and up again, then back down again, then fighting amongst themselves, huge management changes over the course of the year, the fact they put both drivers on the podium, that's the solace they take from 2023, because the form has been inconsistent, to say the least, and they find themselves 6th in the Constructors' Championship, guaranteed no matter what happens. At the front though, Mercedes inching back ahead of Ferrari now in the live look at the points. It's going to get better, you would suspect, for Hamilton with the time that Ricciardo stopped. And we're ticking through the laps now with Alonso in 6th, but he's about to be rejoined in battle. And these two put on one of the shows of the season in Sao Paulo. Last lap battle over the line, separated by 0.05 of a second. It really was stuff of an end-of-season montage. Perez will want a clear, easy, efficient pass here to get past. He has the DRS. That gives you an idea of how effective it is. And that is slam dunk stuff, up to 6th.
Holy moly.
I think that's got to have been a sort of lift and coast there from the Aston, because the offset in speed was much more than the normal. It can be, what, up to what, 10, 15k offset, depending.
I mean, that was vast. It took me back to Melbourne, some of the moves that were done.
Where are we losing? Why are we so slow?
Okay, Pierre, so we did pick up some damage with that contact with Hamilton, but we are closing on the cars in front.
He's not a happy chap at the moment. He's been jumped by his teammate. He doesn't feel like he's got the balance. He's just been told there's obvious data points of damage. And you can see Hamilton's end plate there, damaged after that contact, but he's also taken the place away from Daniel Ricciardo, who was in the points here for his last start for McLaren 1 year ago.
So as we saw with Red Bull and with Ferrari, well, no, Ferrari did manage to change Leclerc's front wing in Mexico because there was the red flag, so they had a free change. But Mercedes have opted to keep that bit of damage on the car. If it starts flapping around, then they might be into a sort of black and orange flag for it potentially breaking, but it still looks structurally sound, so Hamilton's continuing. That Red Bull speed, remember the pass that Verstappen did on Hamilton for the race lead in Melbourne? That was frightening difference in pace.
Yes.
That's what it looked like for Checo there. It was as if Fernando had just lifted off and let him through, but they were racing for position, for 6th.
Yeah, the black and orange flag, if you're one of our newer viewers, just want to explain that. That's a mandatory call to the pits to change some damage if race control deem it to be dangerous. So that's what Jolin is mentioning could go the way of Mercedes if that end plate looks like it's going to detach itself. We're helmet camera down to turn number 9, and let's see what sort of grip Sergio Perez has, and who returned to the podium, albeit with a last lap pass, 2 races in a row, but returned to the podium last time out for the first time since Monza.
It almost sounded as if there was actually a little bit of lift and coast there as well for Perez at the end of that straight.
Fastest car on track now.
So Lewis Hamilton being told that he is the fastest driver in the Grand Prix, and it might have been true at the time, but it wasn't. It's not true now.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good motivational radio call.
And the thing is, when you're in the car, you can tell him anything, because he has no idea what the rest is doing, and he's probably not going to look through all the lap sheets after. Maybe he will after this one, but yeah, it's just nice to have a G up to think, because sometimes it's a bit lonely out there when you're in the fight. You're Pierre Gasly or Lewis Hamilton today, you're not thinking things are going all that well. You're fighting with drivers that you don't really want to be fighting with further down than what you expect. And then if you can get a bit of a G up, think, actually, there's something in this for me, then it does help. Perez is on a charge, and he pitted the same lap as Leclerc. The Red Bulls are coming alive on this hard tyre. Verstappen's disappearing now, 5.5 seconds clear of Leclerc. Perez is going to, well, he's on the back of Piastri, as you can see here. He can then catch the trio, really, for 2nd place and have a little bit of a look at getting involved in that Ferrari-Mercedes scrap.
Yeah, the team analysing the data back at base say there was a lot of lift and coast in that first stint for Max Verstappen, and now they've let the cork somewhat out of the bottle in this 2nd stint of the Grand Prix.
So lift and coast, you back off the throttle, wait a little bit and then hit the brakes, rather than doing the most efficient thing that you do in qualifying for maximum pace, which is accelerate all the way down the straight and then hammer the brake pedal when it's time to brake. You do that either to save a little bit of fuel, but more likely here it's to save a bit of tyres, because you're putting a huge amount of energy through the tyres when you're braking from the peak speed, about 200 miles per hour. If you just actually lose a little bit, you can transition that energy a little bit better, and so it's probably just a bit of tyre saving going on at this stage.
Yeah, fairly easy pass there for Carlos Sainz. Just out of curiosity, when you were doing lift and coast during your Formula 1 career, did you count one elephant, or what was your timing for knowing exactly how much lifting and coasting one was going to do?
Distance. Meterage.
God.
Were you doing it on
He's
timing?
got a sharp eye for that. I think I would have just gone, no.
It's when you start counting too quickly, start getting very, very carried away with it and end up braking way too late.
Just looking at the comparison in lap time between Charles Leclerc and George Russell, it is ebbing and flowing. And there's the pass for Sergio Perez, up to 5th place. Through he goes, past Oscar Piastri. Piastri been really solid in one-lap form so far this year, still building stint pace, knowledge of how to be quick throughout a Grand Prix. That's his task for next year. Perez up to 5th.
So in your day, DC, were you just left up to your own devices to work out, lift and coast as and when you want, see how you feel in there?
Yeah, pretty much. And given we had refueling, we drove to as fast as you could for the tyres, so we didn't really have that scenario. And again, that replay of Carlos Sainz with a massive overspeed with the DRS, and I think that's the thing that's actually a lot more challenging for the drivers of this generation. They have to make those sorts of decisions from within the cockpit, where my generation, it was just go as fast as you possibly can until we call you in to stick some fuel in the car.
Yeah, there's marker boards for braking points that I don't think you had either so much. Were they around? No. So in one of the briefings when I was racing, Romain Grosjean kicked off because the marker boards weren't in the right place, and that's not to call him out, we're all using the marker boards, but
Palmer kept the receipts. Here we go.
No, look, he was obviously a keen eye, and he thought the distance wasn't quite right for the place. So they went and checked it, they moved the marker board. So Romain had a keen eye for braking distance, but it goes to show that
Not if you ask Mark Webber, he didn't, but that's another story.
No comment. But otherwise, you rely so heavily on that. As Stroll's going to sweep past Ricciardo here for 9th. You rely so heavily. They're the P0 markers on the left there, on that. And if they move slightly, you're going to be locking up. You're going to be going long.
Yeah, well, look, when the first time you do have a little off-track excursion and find yourself heading towards a marker board, the shock and dread in your mind, because it looks like it's made out of concrete, but of course it's polystyrene, so it just gets obliterated. But there's a moment where you think, oh, this is going to hurt.
Looking at Daniel Ricciardo, on board with him. It's not the strategy that he wanted today at all. He's done 21 laps on this hard tyre. Bottas, you would have seen being passed by Sainz. He's just been left out there. He hasn't stopped yet, so he's continuing to run on that hard tyre. That 30 of 58. Charles Leclerc in 2nd place. He's being chased down by George Russell. Going better in this stage of the race. Russell's just slipping back a touch, 2/10 slower than Leclerc on that last lap. Lewis Hamilton projected to be 3 laps away from going wheel to wheel with Fernando Alonso once again. And the gap 3 seconds at the moment, so that looks like it's going to disappear rather quickly. A race where it looked for all the world in the opening few meters that Charles Leclerc was going to take the lead. Not once, but twice. Max Verstappen laid on the brakes, rotating the car, keeping the lead, and he's now checked out in the way that many expected in this most outrageously imperious of campaigns. He is on course for win number 19. And sometimes you leave testing and you go, oh, they could win every race, but you don't expect it to very nearly happen. DC, 1998, you went to the first Grand Prix in Australia and you lapped the field that day.
We did, which came as a great surprise to every member of the McLaren team, because in winter testing, we'd never managed to complete more than 30 consecutive laps without the car breaking down. But again, this is how much Formula One's moved on. The reliability of the modern sport is incredible. And back then, you had new engine every day, and you expected not to finish. But 25% of the Grand Prix is based on historical information.
It was factored in. That 1998 season where McLaren lapped the field in the opening Grand Prix of the year went all the way to the final race of the season in Japan. So we have seen amazing speed and then great seasons as a result, but Red Bull, I mean, Christian Horner speaking earlier on before the Grand Prix, just remarking, whatever happens today, this has been the season of the team's lives. For the first time ever, they've had a 1 and 2 in the Drivers' Championship. They're Constructors' Champions again for the 2nd year in a row. And it means that they're a few laps away from Max Verstappen, who can reach 1,000 laps led for the season, which is a ridiculous total, I was reading before this one.
It will happen again at some point. History says that, just looking at the old days of the McLarens and Senna and Prost, and the MP44. If the Red Bull wins with Verstappen, Perez got a lot of work to do to be the driver to win it. So if Verstappen wins, then as a percentage wins of a season, the RB19 that he's driving will be the most successful, because in 1988 McLaren also lost one race, but there's more races now. So it will happen again. You can be sure of that at some point when someone nails the regulations, but I don't know if we'll have one driver blitz the field like this again, because usually this is top teams and they've got viable drivers. Even Bottas could take a few off Hamilton, Sainz and Leclerc, you know, there's a lot of teammate comparisons, but for Verstappen to win could be 19 in 26 laps time. That's remarkable.
Yeah, he's a phenomenon right now. That car talking to him in a way that Checo Perez, it's literally speaking a different language, isn't it, in the way he's delivering the lap time. Just actually, remind me, was your father testing for McLaren at the time they won 15 out of 16? He was there as test driver for a period of time. Can he claim any credit for that amazing dominance?
He was there for the downturn, DC. He was racing in 1988.
Okay, sorry, Jonathan, not remembering when you concluded your Formula One career.
He was probably preparing your cars, DC, getting the long-term plan at the start of the 90s.
It's all going so well in the com box. Never mind. Never mind. Carlos Sainz continuing on at the moment. He's on that hard tyre, so he's got to run. So 2 stints on the hard tyre for Sainz, so he's got to come in again and bolt on the medium. Maybe the soft if he does it at the end of the Grand Prix, but either way, committed to a 2-stop. And just a horrible weekend, really, for the Spanish driver, who didn't have the easiest time in Las Vegas, but dropped it heavily into the Tech Pro on Friday. High-speed accident at turn number 3, and then knocked out for the first time since 2019 in the first part of qualifying. The gap has stabilised between Leclerc and Russell in the battle for second place, and Leclerc efficiently just responding. So if Russell goes for a strong push lap, then Leclerc finds himself able to respond. But also, you've still got Norris within touching distance there, and Perez going very, very nicely. Perez is the danger man for those ahead. He's done a 29.3 last time around, half a second quicker than 4th place Norris ahead.
Gasly comes in again, so they are really struggling with that car. Look, it was just a small tap that Hamilton hit the back, but there are sensitive parts there.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get a rear camera where we get an over-the-top camera angle, but I guess the rear jack person would have given them the information if you can see visible damage, and of course they've got pressure taps that tell them how much downforce the car is generating. Just coming back to what you mentioned, Alex, Perez has got to, he's got to imagine that he can work his way into challenging Russell for that 3rd place. Looks like Norris is kind of stabilised there, and their pace is relatively similar, but Checo's got to be the one that can exploit the performance of that car.
And further back, looking at the recent laps of Piastri, Alonso and Hamilton, they were setting identical lap times last time around, both all doing 129.8 for 6th place, 7th place and 8th place at the moment. Lando Norris pulls the trigger, comes into the pits from 4th place. He's going before Russell, before Leclerc, and he's wary of that threat of Perez. So they're going to get him onto the new rubber, and they're going to be hoping for a quick pit stop. McLaren have the 2 fastest so far this year. They're the only team in Formula One to go under 2 seconds. That looked good. It's 2.3, marked improvement from what we saw last time, and that will force a response from those around it.
Yeah, great stop. New set of tyres going on board. Fuel levels have been burned off, so that car will be less aggressive on its tyres and pure weight, and this is an opportunity for him to really bang a couple of hard laps and try and close the gap.
It's a long-range undercut here for Norris on Russell, about 2.5 seconds. This is for 3rd place. He lost 3 seconds in that pit stop, so that's where he'll be pretty annoyed under that visor, I'm sure, as well. But if Russell basically doesn't do a good in-lap here, he could be undercut. He has to pit, surely, to cover him off. Then Leclerc's going to pit because there's less than 2 seconds. This is going to be the trigger here from Lando, and crucially, Lando is in 10th there, just ahead of Esteban Ocon, so he can get him a clean outlap on those hards.
You've also got the battle to try and finish in 4th position in the championship as well, that Norris is part of.
You sure we can make the 1-stop work? That's reasonable.
We've got a long way to go. It's 24 to go into this lap.
So whilst they were debating that, the answer to the question is no. So Russell comes in, has to respond, and this is a high-pressure pit stop for Mercedes now. They get him back into the fast lane, but they will be looking over the other side of the wall. Can Lando Norris take back the place he lost in the pit stop? They went for the aggressive undercut attempt. Russell goes underneath the circuit. It's going to be close.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight. Norris with his tyres up to temperature as well. There he is.
And Lando Norris is going to be very, very close to the back of George Russell, but he's still behind George Russell, who will get the tyres into the window. Hardest compound means that you've got to get the temperatures up, and this is all in now for Lando Norris. He knows that he's got to get within DRS and try and force the pass immediately, otherwise there might be fresher tyres.
So this will be out-lap critical.
But George there, not far away from that Aston of Stroll, so he might get DRS on the next straight, which will neutralise Norris.
It's not the most efficient way through turn number 6 for Russell, but he is staying ahead. It's a good point, DC. That could really, and that's just luck of the draw where you are with the lap traffic, but it could help Russell, and if Russell gets through turn 9, that would be very, very helpful. He's got through there, and Norris's undercut attempt hasn't worked.
No, Leclerc's now going to pit to cover off the two of them, but with Mercedes not having the quickest of stops, that takes a bit of the pressure away. Still got to be on it. Stroll backing these two up will help him as well.
You do have the advantage if you catch a car on the straight, and the disadvantage of following through that third sector of the lap. Here's the other driver in contention. Perez goes through up to second place. It's a good stop. It's what they needed, 2.6 seconds. That should be enough. Lando Norris really lighting up the timing page at the moment, going for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. And Hamilton in as well. Look, rapid at the back, 3.4 seconds. It is the fastest lap. And there is the Ferrari sparking over the bumps as he rejoins the racetrack. And that is as you were, but it was absolutely on the line there. And that's not an ideal line for George Russell through turn number 5.
Yeah, but he is going to get a big slipstream early DRS on Stroll, who's racing for position right now.
Yeah, Stroll staying out there, and Russell getting past. So he survives the threat that Lando Norris was bringing, and that must be a feeling of dejection in there. They tried the undercut, didn't quite work.
You can folks check ahead of me if you want.
Understood, mate.
Do what you want, lads.
There, yeah, I'm actually quite surprised to hear that. That would even be something that Max would get involved in.
16 seconds between the two. Yeah, he's obviously... He must be looking up at the screen somewhere and seen that they're now 1-2 and that they're both getting ready for a second pit stop. Perez is in the fight with these three, let's not forget. He's going to go longer, so it's actually not in his interest to pit particularly soon.
Yeah, well, rumour has it Max does a Rubik Cube while he's out there in some of these Grand Prix, so maybe he's taking some time out from solving that puzzle to watch the big screen.
Something to do out there. Alonso's into the pits, so is Oscar Piastri. 2.2 seconds is what he's had this year on multiple occasions, and McLaren delivering after that slow stop for Norris cost them a place in the Grand Prix earlier on. We're on 37 of 58. We're into the latter stages of the season. The battle for fourth place in the drivers' standings. Well, Lando Norris was trying to go up against his old teammate Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc and Fernando Alonso in that battle, but George Russell having the DRS for Lance Stroll, who is off sequence. He's not a lap down, so he doesn't have to jump out of the way, but he's not a contender in the way that these are. So through you go, and this is Lewis Hamilton trying to get past Fernando Alonso ahead. Fernando Alonso tries to squeeze, but he can't keep the champion behind. 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton, 2-time champion Fernando Alonso, two greats of the sport, and no real contest this time. But we will hope to see these two fighting once again. They'll need upgrades in their cars next year for that to be the case, but Hamilton keeps the place.
Well, a nice little moment again for Yuki Tsunoda, running in third on country strategy once he pits. Assuming he pits, even if he doesn't pit, he's going to find himself toppling behind Leclerc and others. But a strong weekend for him.
This Russell-Leclerc battle is on. to the end now. 1.1 seconds between them. Tsunoda just ahead, should be passed fairly straightforwardly.
We have the slowest car on the straight, by far.
Ooh, that's reminiscent of some messages from yesteryear.
Yeah, and his time at McLaren, for those who are new fans to Formula One, he referred to the Honda engine that was delivered to them as F2 engine.
It has looked it though, hasn't it? Remember early on he was riding behind Piastri, couldn't make any inroads, and then Perez came through like it was a Formula 2 car. It is tough when you're racing and you've just got no straight line speed. You can't attack. He's riding behind Hamilton, and you just feel like you're raceless. A little bit like Mercedes were in Brazil.
So Leclerc ahead of Tsunoda, Russell trying to get by as well. And if you catch a car at this stage, you are restricted to the car ahead because it's basically single file until you head back out of turn number 5. This is Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton versus Alonso once again. We said, are we going to see these two battling? But we are seeing these two battling. And
did he not? He already passed him, did he not?
Yeah, I thought he did.
I think he just got him at the corner before. So Alonso's on an outlap here. He's been, yeah, here we go. So they were side by side coming through. Then Hamilton, I think, has come past, playing some DRS games.
Yeah, they just brake tested me. I got brake tested like right before the braking zone.
Well, it looked like he actually went offline and ended up off the race. And let's just see, did he have a moment here, or what was happening? Oh yeah, he did. Yeah. He did actually slow down, trying to force Lewis to pass him ahead of the corner so he could get DRS.
Now, we've had this before, but I think that's not cool. At that speed, when someone's tucked in behind you to hit the brakes, you're not expecting that. I'm sure that'll be a bigger topic for the FIA moving forward. We've seen it in Jeddah, we've seen it on some places with big straights, but to randomly hit the brakes way before, I don't think that's a smart move.
No, there's an applied trust in racing that when you're driving at 200 miles an hour on a straight bit, as we battle here, the Alpine gets hustled wide.
That's Piastri fighting his way by, Sainz fighting his way by, and Ocon down to 10th position as a result of it. Ferrari are claiming second in the constructors' standings as it stands. Ocon trying to come back into turn number 9, unable to do so. Piastri 8th, Sainz in 9th place, but Sainz still needs to stop again.
So the stewards, it's been noted, the stewards will have a look at Alonso for driving erratically. The reason he's done that is obviously because he's feeling so aggrieved at his straight line speed. So he's trying to do anything to pick up that DRS and have a fight. He managed to come back through and get ahead of Hamilton at some point, or maybe just held on against Hamilton.
Well, we had Verstappen trying that in Jeddah 2021. Then we had it in Jeddah 2022 between Leclerc and Verstappen not trying to get to the corner, slowing down almost like just before the end of a Tour de France stage. But we haven't seen it at any point for the rest of the season until then.
I think it's one thing when you're in the braking zone to try and anchor it on a little bit more, but there was just so far from the braking zone that made it seem a little bit worse.
Yeah, what I was starting to explain beforehand, and as you well know, Julian, there's an applied trust that the straight bits give or take a few meters in the braking zone. Everyone will keep their foot hard on the gas, and yes, you can have engine blow-ups and things like that, but you know, I don't want to bring something up from the past, but Fernando did brake test me in Nürburgring many years ago when I was in the McLaren. He braked 30 meters earlier, and we went to the stewards, and he went, "Oh, it's my right to brake where I want to brake. That's where I needed to brake." I was just flabbergasted, and the stewards went, "Well, look, you know, no further action."
It's 2003 when DC was going wheel to wheel with Fernando Alonso.
That Scotsman scorned, I tell you, hold back for a long time.
Did you hit him?
No, my cat-like reactions. I missed him, but ended up so far into the gravel trap, you needed a JCB to take me out.
Okay, you've got Yuki Tsunoda in 5th place at the moment. He stopped once. You've got Lando Norris chasing him down. He has made his final stop of the day. Finishing this Grand Prix on the hard tyre, and it's Verstappen, then it's Perez, then you've got Leclerc and Russell having to follow Tsunoda. So Leclerc made the pass nice and efficiently. Russell then had to follow at Tsunoda's speed for that final sector, and that's why that gap has increased.
How is Lewis getting on?
Yeah, he's doing a good job at the moment, having a fight of his own.
What does that mean? How are we doing in the championship? Are we good?
All we can do is the best race that we can do. We're fine at the moment.
Well, that wasn't the happiest message I've heard from George Russell this year.
Well, hold on a minute. Why would they not just tell him, right now we're losing the championship constructors fight to Ferrari? They've left him with a question.
Well, but then they're not in the big picture. There is 1 point after you take out Leclerc and Russell finishing where they are, but Hamilton is net ahead of Sainz. Sainz will have to pit again. He's gone hard onto hard, and he's not actually having a great race here, Sainz. Hamilton is doing better, and so that will tilt it in Mercedes' favour. What could be a fly in the ointment is Perez, who's flying at this stage in the race. He's still 16 seconds back from Verstappen. He's slower than the drivers just behind him, but he's still on that old hard tyre, and he's managing to eke it through with really good pace. Perez will pit, and he will charge to the back of Norris, Russell and Leclerc, and he will get in amongst them before the race is out.
I hear you. But you never in a situation when you're younger, when someone said, look, on a need-to-know basis, you don't need to know. He needs to know.
So what would you tell him?
I would tell him the facts. Right now, we're behind, but given Lewis's pace and the pace of those around him, we project that we will finish second in the constructors.
A fine answer. Couldn't have said it better myself.
What is our race, Ricky? I'm a bit lost. Try to go as long as possible, waiting for a safety car.
Well, our next category of radio message is from Ferrari. Here's Lando Norris getting past Yuki Tsunoda. Different strategies playing out this 5th place for Lando Norris.
I think plan L for luck now for Ferrari with Sainz. That's all they've got now. Because to see if there's a safety car, and that would bring him into play. Otherwise, it's a tough one.
It wouldn't be the first time we've had a lucky safety car late in the Grand Prix here.
Brave mentioning that, DC. We're nearly getting to the end.
I can't remember what year, but that's where you come in.
Well, it's interesting. This is no love lost between these two. We've got Alonso trying to get past Ocon. Looks like he's going to make the place. Does make the place into turn number 10. You know when Carlos Sainz, who is a master race reader, has to ask what's going on, it's not an ideal strategy. Sainz, the only non-Red Bull driver to win a Grand Prix all year long. That's an important pit stop. Sergio Perez has come in. They've given him a 2.2-second stop. Perez has had more of the best pit stops across the season than any other driver this year. And he's got a real opportunity to heap the pressure on those ahead, try and finish Red Bull's near-perfect season in a perfect way as he comes out, sparking out onto the track, on the attack for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he now needs to drive qualifying laps if he's going to challenge those guys.
And he's got first of all Tsunoda there, who's going to go to the end as well. Let's not forget Tsunoda trying to get a top 6 for the championship for AlphaTauri. Then he's going to get to Norris, Russell and Leclerc, and he should have really strong pace here. That last stint that he did on the hards was impressive for Perez.
Here is Lewis Hamilton, multiple race winner around this circuit, moving past Esteban Ocon, as Alonso did. So Alonso, then Hamilton. There is no further investigation for Alonso and Hamilton on that tactical braking into turn number 5 to try and get the DRS. Here's Max Verstappen, the race leader, and he comes in, having had a buffer of 28 seconds. It's enough, it's easily enough to get out ahead, but it would have been a pressure pit stop for Red Bull. They've answered that, the world champion team again this year, and then he has measured things brilliantly once again on that hard tyre to the end of the Grand Prix. An amazing season. We thought last year was impressive when he reset the win record then. He's taken it even further, and Hamilton has been measured for an incident involving him on a pit stop infringement.
Haven't seen it. I don't know what that was.
Another piece of holding back information. Was that speeding in the pit lane? Is it unsafe release? Just tell us the facts.
Oh, we'd like to know, because we definitely didn't see it. Perez is going to clear Tsunoda. He's 0.3 of a second away, so Perez will clear Tsunoda very quickly in the next couple of moments. Here's the example. Let's just cover this off as he goes down to turn number 6. And there you go, easy as you like. How far can he get? Can he get onto the podium in the final Grand Prix of the year?
He's got a couple of seconds now to Norris. Then there's Russell and Leclerc. He's got a car that's very fast in the straights as well as Perez. So Hamilton now, we don't know what that infringement was, but that would change the picture, won't it, between Mercedes and Ferrari? It's not looking like he's going to score big points today, Lewis, and a 5-second penalty could shuffle him down towards the reaches of Sainz once Sainz takes another pit stop. Would you tell George Russell that?
I would. I think he he's eager to be kept informed. Maybe he's got some sort of bonus linked to constructor's position.
And you do have extra capacity when you're out there driving. Russell's now 3.4 seconds. He's actually drifting away from Leclerc. The drivers, they're looking at the big screens. They're trying to pick up information.
Well, you know, if he's got a bonus that's linked to constructors, makes a difference on Maldives or Butland.
Dampers are pushing a lot. Can we do something there or not?
Yep, stand by.
Brings back memories of Adelaide 1995, coming into my final pit stop, did the downshift, and it pushed me into the pit wall. Are you buying it? Silence at the pit box.
Oh, is that what it was?
From you too.
I like the excuse still being offered up.
It's still an issue in modern day Formula One.
This is Sainz and Alonso. Sainz just being dangled out there, hoping for the benefit of pitting under a virtual safety car or full safety car. But he's not going to be able to do anything to defend from Fernando Alonso. Alonso, who went into today trying to clinch his... Well, I thought he was going to be able to get through, but that Aston Martin straight line speed, they weren't joking, Jonian.
No, it's really poor. He was already just starting to max out there at 312 kph, then decided he didn't want the place into that corner. He'll have a go here again.
And just a reminder, we have 2 strikes for track limits.
Yeah, I know.
Understood.
Not quite Kimi Raikkonen here a couple of years ago, saying, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. But 2, 3 is the black and white warning flag, 4 strikes, and it's a 5-second penalty.
So reminiscent of lines from Little Britain.
Yeah, I know that. So Hamilton's going to be investigated after the race. And Perez is within DRS now, for Lando Norris. So big moment for Perez, who's been losing positions at the end of Grand Prix. Could the tables be turned this time? Could he be gaining positions onto the podium at this stage? And this billion-dollar racetrack that we look at from the helicopter shot. And we thank DC for his commentary this season as he makes his way down to talk to the top 3, but the identity of the top 3 still in the balance. You don't see many passes into turn 5 today. Fernando Alonso getting in there early, trying something different, because the straight line speed is barn door slow at the moment, and yet he's done enough, he's made it work. Racecraft again, pass complete.
But now look at Sainz, didn't fancy taking the place back at turn 6. They're all playing games with that DRS, and now Sainz is going to wait for this chance, but Alonso might have just sold him a dummy and guns it coming out of that corner. Has he managed to break away enough? Finally had a bit of pace there and used it. So it was almost like a safety car restart between the 2 Spaniards.
Sorry, I was expecting to hear that team radio message, which is why I let you do the overtake. Sorry about that. Here's 4th in the Drivers' Championship, currently going the way of Lando Norris. Would be the first time that McLaren have put a driver in the top 4 since Lewis Hamilton over a decade ago. But
here's Perez in the wheel tracks of Norris, and this would take it away towards Leclerc. Perez might yet get to Leclerc though, so he's got his title's wrapped up. Red Bull are done, the top 2 in the drivers is done, but Perez is going to have a bit of a say here in who wins between Ferrari and Mercedes. Sainz has got Hamilton with him now on track, so that shows how it's not gone well for Carlos Sainz. He's got to make another pit stop.
Talking of pit stops, the infringements for Gasly and Hamilton both going to be investigated after the Grand Prix. Perez is looking to the inside. Can he get it done? Norris trying to stay there. They make contact. That seemed to be happening at such slow speed. Perez seemed to have the place. Norris seemed to turn in super late, and they made clumsy contact on the apex of the corner. Here's Lewis Hamilton trying to take the place away from Carlos Sainz, trying to go the long way round. Either way, he's forced Sainz away from the racing line. We'll try and do it in the next phase. That was a semi-strange one for Norris and Perez.
It's all getting strange. The overtake was very much after you, no after you, between those 2. And in the end, Norris turned in on Perez and there was contact. Here comes Hamilton on Sainz.
Looking for the move around the outside. He'll scrub the speed off. Oh, that'll work. That'll work nicely. Hamilton goes the long way round at turn number 9 and gets past the Ferrari driver. That is a tidy way to improve your position up to 9.
Seriously tough race for Sainz, this one. He's just not had any pace. Let's have another look at this then. Perez is easily down on the inside.
He just crashed into me.
We see.
they're both almost at reduced speed there, but Checo doesn't turn into an apex, runs wide.
He just turned into me. Yeah, we saw.
And that is two sides of the argument in a nutshell.
Predictable team radio from both drivers, but that was odd. Let's go again. Down, out of turn 5, the back straight, up to 200 miles per hour. Once again, Perez getting close, trying to make it work in the braking zone, fights his way by to 4th position. That's bad news for Lando Norris and his hopes of being 4th in the Drivers' Championship. And this time, the place is made by the Red Bull, but is it kept? As we go to turn number 9, Norris trying to fight back, trying to force Perez to a part of the racetrack he doesn't want to be in. And he's got speed, he's got commitment, but he's running out of road. And Perez has 4th.
Finally done. That was just a bit more convincing on the brakes there in turn 6.
Yeah, but that's just dangerous driving. He had loads of space.
10 laps to go for Formula 1 in 2023. The incident involving Norris and Perez is going to be investigated. That's been upgraded from a note to an investigation for causing a collision. And if that's a 5-second penalty, that is going to change things again. Live look at the standings between Mercedes and Ferrari. It's Mercedes in second as it stands.
I don't think that will be a 5-second penalty. Perez was slightly ahead at that point. He missed his apex, but he was slightly ahead there, and Norris turned in. There was a bit of carbon fibre that came off one of those cars. I'm not sure which one. They carried on racing for another lap, and now Perez is clearing away from Norris, but a bit of downforce loss for someone there in the last 10 laps.
So Max Verstappen is the race leader. Sainz still has to stop again. They're leaving him out there in the hope of a safety car, but that was a symbolic move for Mercedes to get them ahead in the Constructors' Championship to try and finish second, where Ferrari finished last year. Red Bull were champions last year. They're champions this year. They're leading once again. And Max Verstappen is on his way to Grand Prix victory number 19. Asked a question about the downshifts after managing the pace in the first part of the race. They have extended away. Charles Leclerc looking for another podium this season, looking to try and climb onto the rostrum for the 6th time, is there for the time being. And then you've got Russell and Perez separated by 4 seconds. It's a lot of time for Perez to make up now. He wants to celebrate with his teammate on the podium at the end of the season.
So the only thing for Ferrari now to beat Mercedes in this race as it stands is for Perez to pass Russell but not pass Leclerc. If Perez could put another car between the drivers 2nd and 3rd, that would give Ferrari 2nd place at the standings. That's where we're heading now. Perez within 4 seconds of Russell on the fresher tyres. If he's still got a fully intact Red Bull, then he should have the pace to close up in the last 8 laps. This is going down to the wire between these two teams.
And it is for pride, but it's also for prize money between the two. There is the vote for driver of the day as well there. We're looking through the order for some battles. This is Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon on track at the moment. The Aston Martin driver chasing down the Alpine. Lance Stroll coming off the back of a couple of 5th places into this race. His best form of the season so far. Best finish overall though back in Australia when he was 4th for his season best result. Got a little bit lost in terms of one lap pace earlier in the year, but has finished strong and started in the top 3 in Sao Paulo as well, looking to make that pass and looking to take what would be a position in the points, because we know that Sainz is going to have to stop, and they're hoping for the benefit, but even the benefit of a virtual safety car would see Sainz drop out of the points at the moment. The incident involving Verstappen, Sargent and Joe has been noted for a pit stop infringement. That's our race leader, and 2 cars out of the points, but that is our reigning world champion and race leader noted, as has...
Yeah, let me know how much is the gap between Perez and Russell, so maybe we can make them fight a bit more. Because yeah, if we see that we are not second in the constructors.
Understood.
There's a 5-second time penalty for Sergio Perez for causing a collision, and that is good news for Mercedes, bad news for Ferrari, and good news for Lando Norris as well. If he can keep him within 5 seconds, he's 3.1 behind at the moment. Your thoughts, Jolyon Palmer?
Well, firstly, it most likely kills off that semi-interesting battle at the end of this race, doesn't it? Perez will get to Russell, he's a lot quicker. than George, 7/10 on the last lap, but he's not quick enough to pass him and then put 5 seconds to the Mercedes. The gap that you can see there, look how far he's cleared away from Norris as well. I would have liked to see it again from Perez's angle. We saw it from Norris turning in, and certainly Checo, he didn't turn into an apex. It looked like he was ahead though at that point. You don't have to take your apex. If you're ahead on the inside, he didn't steer out, I didn't think, to Norris. Inconclusive from the angles that we saw. I'm surprised that's not a racing incident.
So Perez, car behind 3.2. He does have a 5-second penalty, but he must not finish in front of us for the championship positions.
So they've been told, hold fire, you're going to have to defend all in. Pit stop infringement. He's going to change things. Charles Leclerc, as it stands, heading to 4th in the standings, but you might have Norris staying within 5 seconds. I think Perez is going to get close to Russell, isn't he? I think Norris is not even going to be able to stay within 5 seconds. Is this a moment down at turn 6 which has hampered that attempt? Likely to be a lock-up if we're joining him at this stage. Just a wide moment. Oh, it's the replay. I wasn't expecting to go back to that stage. That's what it looked like from Norris's point of view. Here's Perez.
Okay, so Perez is coming in from further back.
But why did he give us a penalty? I was ahead.
I don't see why that's a penalty. There's space on the outside still. There's wheel-to-wheel contact.
It's pretty odd driving. I can't think of anything like that earlier in the season.
It's odd, but it's not as dangerous as Alonso slamming on the brakes 50 metres out from a corner. There is a bit of contact, which is the difference there. He turns in, then he thinks he's trying to usher Norris, I think, a little bit wide to compromise the McLaren's exit. Honestly, I'm surprised that's a penalty for a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there. Both drivers carried on. They kept the same positions. I'm surprised that that's a necessary penalty for Perez.
That is not a bad place to be watching things. How galling is this for AlphaTauri? A brilliant drive for Yuki Tsunoda. This is his drive of the season. He has been absolutely outstanding in qualifying, in the race. He's led laps as well in AlphaTauri's last day, and he's 1 point short as it stands. He is 1 point short for giving a tie there for AlphaTauri and Williams in the head-to-head, and that is a serious disappointment. This is Daniel Ricciardo, who started 15th. He's now 12th. He made a pass to get through.
And Sainz ahead has to pit. Sainz still has to pit because he's only used the hard tyre so far. So that would put Ricciardo up to 11th. So if there's any retirements ahead, AlphaTauri will do this. When was the last time we had a season finale with no retirements? Has it ever happened? Normally...
Be very unusual, given that this is the most stressed part for all of the components that are being raced out there at the very end of a campaign.
Yeah, normally someone's limping home on the limit of engines or gearboxes or something out there. Or there's a bit of contact between drivers that are just giving it their last all to try and get a result. It's been clean from everyone, bar a couple of little bits of wheel-to-wheel here or there. And the cars is the epitome of the season, really. Reliability's been seriously good. And that's going to be frustrating for AlphaTauri, because as you say, right now, Sainz will pit. That'll promote Ricciardo up to 11th. I don't think he's going to be close enough to catch Stroll, who's actually going quickly on a fresh set of mediums.
Yeah. Well, it's coming down to the final laps here. Perez finds himself a second away from George Russell, but with that 5-second penalty for a slightly unusual moment where Norris was deep into the corner. Perez was trying to be super careful, but then they made contact beyond the apex of 6. Either way, 5-second penalty for Sergio Perez. He's trying to get past George Russell. Real frustration as well, because it would have been a fine recovery drive from 9th on the grid. But Russell is defending. He knows that there will be the penalty there at 54 of 58. Yuki Tsunoda's just done his personal best first sector. He's giving it everything at the moment. We have had late retirements here in the past. Whoa, that's a nice dive to the inside. And we saw it from the nose cam as Sergio Perez gets by up to 3rd on the road, but that 5-second penalty will drop him back.
How far can he pull away from Russell, though, before the end? If Russell's starting to fall away on this set of hard tyres, then Perez has got 4.14 seconds to catch Leclerc. If he's got the pace, he maybe can get there. it's going to take something else for Russell to not be within 5 seconds, but there's already one there built up.
Okay, over the line. Hearing that the pit stop infringements are because of eye protection for the mechanics when it comes to the stops. So, with that, it would be fine territory, not time penalty territory.
Yeah, there's no way that the end positions are going to change for something like that. That'll be, yeah, a fine, as you said, or probably something moving forward as well, a change in the regs.
Action all the way to the end. Fernando Alonso is looking to take the opportunity away from Yuki Tsunoda. George Russell's had his time deleted. Ferrari, as you can see, finding themselves a point ahead at the moment, but the problem is that Carlos Sainz has not fitted 2 compounds of tyre to the car. They didn't give themselves the option. They were hoping for a safety car that will not come. You've still got to change that tyre, even if the safety car did come out. And either way, for Carlos Sainz, he's got Lance Stroll closing in as well on a medium.
Yeah, Sainz he's having a really, really tough weekend. Had the big crash on Friday, let's not forget. Hit the wall at turn 3, had a bump in practice, didn't do a lot of practice. Was out yesterday, struggled for pace, and now he's got the Aston Martin, and this is for position, but Sainz has to pit, so Stroll effectively has this anyway. Daniel Ricciardo 3 seconds further back. We'll hope that something comes of this for AlphaTauri for that extra point that they need.
Out front, 13 seconds ahead for Max Verstappen, who is on his way to win number 19 of the season. Barely believable numbers. He has just swept the board with wins across this year, and Sainz going to try and do it on track anyway. We're on lap 56 of 58. Perez holding third on the road. The gap is 2 seconds to Russell. That is pretty efficient clearing of the car. He's really motoring on, but it's still, I think he's just going to run out of laps. He needs Russell to run out of tyres.
That was 8 tenths that Perez took on Russell on that last lap. He pulled away by 8 tenths. It's going to be close at this rate. The problem is Perez is going to catch Leclerc, and ironically, Leclerc is going to back Perez back into Russell. That's the issue there that Ferrari have got. Unless Leclerc can wave Perez by and then back Russell off to the required 5 seconds and try and keep there himself, but that's a complicated task.
It certainly is. It certainly is out there. And Sainz very, very close. The Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso is heaping the pressure on. One Aston Martin is attacking, a second Aston Martin is attacking, and look on the left-hand side of your timing page, Fernando Alonso has got past Yuki Tsunoda, and he's up to 7th place.
And the Williams crew can breathe a little easier with that. 7th in the Constructors on the line. It was on the precipice with Tsunoda in 7th, but losing those 2 points could be crucial.
Key move for Fernando Alonso to get through into 7th place. He fights his way by past Yuki Tsunoda. He's had a dramatic day. He's had some nice passes as well in a season where it's been him at the back where he belongs, in contention. But no one really has been able to live with this driver. Sainz comes into the pits.
Tell me the gap between Checo and Russell. If there's less than 5 seconds, I'll give him the slipstream, and I'll let him pass for the last sector. He's got 5 seconds anyway.
Okay, so I said that was the complicated way, but fair play to Leclerc. He wants the complicated way. He's up for it.
It's fascinating stuff. Really fascinating stuff with that penalty being applied. But it is going to be another victory lap for Max Verstappen, who is on his way to win his 34th Grand Prix since Bahrain 2022. That is more than Fernando Alonso has managed in his entire career of Formula One, and that's the 1,000 laps led in a season. Another stat to tell you the domination that he has exhibited all the way through this year. He is on his way to win number 19 and his 4th victory in a row at Yas Marina circuit. Perez is 1.3 seconds away from Leclerc. You're on board with Lewis Hamilton, who's trying to take 8th place. He's about to go into his last lap right now.
So Perez is...
He's through. He's through. Perez has gone through. So Leclerc allowed the Red Bull through and has got to stay within 5 seconds to take P2. Unbelievable stuff there.
But it won't matter if Hamilton passes Tsunoda. It's all going to come down to the last lap.
Well, it's coming down to the last lap in Abu Dhabi once again. We're on board with Sergio Perez now in second place. Charles Leclerc thinking tactically, wanting Perez to be in the position to move ahead. Leclerc down to third, but it will turn into second across the line. And it has been a topsy-turvy day. Lots of overtaking on track, lots of action across the board, but it's always going to end the same way in Formula One in 2023. Max Verstappen out of the final corner for the final time. Max Verstappen wins 19 Grand Prix in a single season. Amazing stuff. He wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Hamilton has an amazing opportunity to get by. Hamilton does get by, we believe. Oh, it was really close. He's up to 8th as he comes across the line. Perez is in second place, but Charles Leclerc will move up there. He will move up to second position when the time penalty is applied, and George Russell crosses the line in 4th. Hamilton had dived to the apex. He got ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, but he couldn't slow it down, and they battle all the way to the line. Tsunoda will hang on to 8th place. It's not enough for AlphaTauri to jump Williams in the Constructors' Championship, but what a bizarre finish as they drive into the smoke from the fireworks across the line, and it is an amazing end to that. Lap 58, Max Verstappen the winner, Perez in second, and this was Charles Leclerc opening the door for Perez to pass.
So Perez had the DRS to go and check out as well, but crucially, it wasn't enough. He was 3.9 seconds ahead of George Russell at the end, so he falls back behind Russell, and Mercedes cling on to second in the championship, even though Hamilton went for that pass and didn't pull it off on Tsunoda.
This is a replay of Lewis Hamilton going for it, looking for the move. The fireworks were going off outside of the racetrack. They were going on. There's the oversteery moment that costs Hamilton. Unbelievable stuff across the board. Max Verstappen is the winner. It's Leclerc in second place. Russell on the podium for only the second time this season. Norris in 5th, Piastri in 6th. The last of the point scorers, Alonso, Tsunoda, Hamilton and Stroll. As we see the celebrations, and there was so much going on at the end there. Brilliant to be able to show you that, every angle we could find for you. And if you are wearing Dutch orange this season, what a campaign. 21 times on the podium, 19 times of them this time. In 2023, Max Verstappen has been on the top step. Literally ludicrous domination for the Dutch driver, who has been the class of the field and then some in 2023. Good tactical attempts from Leclerc.
All missions complete. What a year. Well done, my friend.
Wow, another unbelievable race, guys. Very lovely. And we did it, GP. Mission 8.
Yeah, Max, you have been absolutely mighty this year. 19 victories. You've led over 1,000 laps. You've smashed it out the park. It has been an absolute privilege watching you drive this car that's been built by a team of brilliant people, and we're all incredibly proud of you, and it's a very, very special in-lap, so take it in, enjoy every moment, and enjoy this last bit of RB19.
Yeah. Well, we're there, Christian. I mean, what an unbelievable year. So let's say thank you to everyone. I also want to say a quick thank you to Franz Tost. He had a lot of us under his wings, and this was his last race. So
well, it's time to light up one of the very best Formula One cars ever built. The dominant Dutchman, winning for the 19th time this season, and Red Bull end the season beaten just once in the Grand Prix format. In the battle for P2, Mercedes held on despite Charles Leclerc's invention on the last lap.
Max sounded pretty sleepy on the radio there, didn't he? Didn't sound like adrenaline was coursing through his body. Maybe he had a little bit more there doing the donuts of celebration. In the end, it was a plain sailing race, wasn't it? After that, the side-by-side antics on the first lap, he did really well to hold on to Leclerc's advances, but there was nothing that anyone could have done to stop him today, regardless, I think. I have a lot of admiration for Charles Leclerc in that race, to try and to think on his feet, to actually, we didn't hear communication going the other way from Ferrari to Leclerc, asking him to do anything. Charles was taking matters into his own hands, trying something to help his team out, but it wasn't quite enough. But full credit for compromising his own race potentially by doing that.
Sometimes it's all about the words and it's all about the narrative, but sometimes the numbers really do tell you a story, and this year it's true. For Max Verstappen, 19 wins out of 22 in the Grand Prix format. Only off the podium on one occasion, that was in Singapore. 21 out of 22 podiums. The points, 575 out of 620, and over 1,000 laps led. Will we ever see domination quite like that ever again in Formula One? Well, Verstappen will be hoping to be race winning again next year. Remember, there haven't been any meaningful updates to that Red Bull for a while, since the summer break, and they've been focusing on next year's car. The largest ever title winning advantage in the history of Formula One, 290 points. We are running out of ways to say domination in Formula One. I think the word Verstappen suffices after that one. Mercedes, if you look at across the year, the amount of times they were actually second at the end of the Grand Prix, only on 2 occasions they were P2 at the end of a Grand Prix. George Russell, second podium finish of the year. And that message from Charles Leclerc on the radio, I think that shows a bit of development from Charles through the years, because we've known for a long time that it's always been Leclerc and Sainz as the favoured one when it comes to reading a race, but Leclerc having the capacity there, just missing out Fernando Alonso's best finish in the Formula One World Championship in a decade. In a season, he returned to the front of the field. 4th place for Fernando.
How close was that for the 4 of them? 6 points between them all, but what a season it's been for Fernando. Just feels a far cry, the start of the year to the end of the year for him, but you could reap the rewards for a good season. All those podiums in March, April, May. Aston Martin have got to try and turn it around for next year, though.
Confirmation that you have McLaren ahead of Aston Martin, Williams ahead of AlphaTauri. Great efforts all round. It is Verstappen, Leclerc and Russell on the final podium of the season, and everyone's just having a breather, just asking the questions, getting the right watch attached to the wrist, getting the right baseball cap attached to the head. And then DC, who departed not knowing what he was going to have to deal with, is going to have to deal with a familiar face in Max Verstappen, but returning to the podium for the first time since Spain, George Russell.
On that 3rd place, well appreciated by the crowd here. That's made the difference. You have secured 2nd in the Constructors' Championship for the team, and that means a lot.
It means a huge amount. There's so many people back at the factory, Brackley, Brixworth, who've worked so hard to achieve this. It's been a really challenging season. I've let the side down a couple of times this year, so pleased to have brought it across the line today. It was tight with Checo at the end. I thought Charles was going to back me up, but respect to him for keeping it clean. And can chill out now.
Yeah, you've got a sweat on your brow. You had to really fight hard there. You knew that Checo, very late in the race, got that 5-second penalty. Were you able to compute what was happening with Charles and the gaps, or were the team keeping you informed?
I mean, I came out of the pits on the 2nd set of hards. I was managing a bit, and then Checo just came from nowhere. So I don't know what happened there. They had great pace. It was really tense at the end. The tyres were dropping off, but just really pleased to have secured P2 for the team. And I'm sure everyone will have a few drinks tonight.
Well, you say that, but you also told me ahead of the Grand Prix you've not been feeling 100% for a couple of weeks. So
I mean, I was probably coughing 4 times a lap then, so it was pretty miserable out there, which didn't help things. But as I said, just massive relief to have brought the car home, P3. Can't believe it's only the 2nd podium of the year, but really happy to end the season this way.
Well, it's a very well-deserved podium, and congratulations on behalf of the team. So we're just being joined by Charles as he applies all his jewellery. Very nice. Would you like to finish putting them on before the interview, or?
Sorry?
Would you like to finish putting your jewellery on?
No, it's okay. I can
You'll
speak
hold it.
before.
Okay. Or is it a gift?
Sorry? No, it's not a gift. It's actually a sponsor.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just being generous. Charles, great thinking in the cockpit there at the end to allow Checo to overtake you. Again, I wasn't part of the final part of the commentary there because I was coming here to do the interviews. Was that something that you discussed with the team beforehand, or it was all in those last few moments?
No, it was all in the last few minutes because Checo had 5 seconds penalty, so we had to help him in a way for him to finish in front of George with a 5 seconds. So I tried to give him the DRS and a slipstream, but that unfortunately wasn't enough. So on one hand, I'm really happy because on a weekend like this, honestly, there wasn't one thing we could have done better as a team. I think it was definitely not a given that we were in the second fastest car this weekend, but we did an incredible job doing everything right, strategy, qualifying. It's just a shame that we finished third in the constructors. That's all that mattered to me in this end of season, and we didn't achieve that. But anyway, I would like to thank the team for doing such an incredible work and for working so incredibly hard since the first race. We knew that it was going to be an uphill season because we lacked performance compared to where we wanted, but the team has done an incredible job pushing until the last race.
Yeah, you're here. Just put us back in the race start. There looked like there was 2 opportunities for you to go wheel to wheel with Max. Turn 1, of course, and then down at the end of the back straight into 6. What was happening there? Because it looked like you'd done enough to get the pass done.
Yeah, I obviously wanted to try and get that first place, but we also know that in the race we lack some pace compared to them. So even if I would have passed Max there, I probably would have got overtaken again 3 or 4 laps. And at the end, my only target was to beat the Mercedes, so I didn't want to lose too much tire juice and also time with Max. But yeah, it was fun.
Okay, Charles, congratulations on finishing the season with a podium.
Thank you very much, thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, at the end of what's been an incredible season for Max, unbelievable 19th victory of the year. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, of course, an incredible season. It was a bit emotional on the end lap. You know, it was the last time I was sitting in the car, which has, of course, given me a lot. So, yeah, I'm, of course, very proud to win also here the last race. But, yeah, I have to say a big thank you to everyone at Red Bull. It's just been an incredible year. It will be hard to do something similar again, but we definitely enjoyed this year.
It looked like it, and can I just compliment you on your donuts at the end?
Yeah, you taught me how to do it, so...
Yeah, well, you did it beautifully and positioned your car there. Now, how would you reflect, beyond thanking your team here, this is where you won your first world title, you wrapped up your third much earlier in the season. Difficult to imagine it can get better than this.
Yeah, it will be very hard to have another season like this. We know that. Of course, you always want to do better, but sometimes doing better is not only race wins and potentially winning the championship. But we'll see. You know, we are working hard for next year to have again a very competitive car. For sure, all the other teams out there, they want to try and beat us next year, and we are ready for the battle. But in the meantime, we are going to enjoy a little bit this year as well.
Okay, well, Max, as you are the champion, maybe the final words to the fans that you've seen all around the world, not just here in Abu Dhabi, but it's been an exceptional year for Formula One.
Yeah, it's been incredible, you know, sold out in basically every place we went to, great fan support, and again also here. I hope you guys enjoyed the race today as well, and you saw all your favorite drivers do well, and yeah, of course, thank you very much for cheering us on.
Well, Max, you have 97 days until it all starts again in Bahrain. Enjoy.